Hey friends out there, Rob here. Today I want to talk to you about drawing pretty little Christmas trees, right? This is going to be an evergreen tree tutorial like a Douglas fir or a spruce. We're going to talk about that by way of painting. I'm actually here to show you this and kind of talk about something else, the cameras and the switching devices that record all this stuff. I think it's really interesting to see the setup, and if you like to do these types of things, well, stick around to the end. I'll talk a little bit about that. But know that all this is being produced live just for you. Okay, I want to talk about these little Christmas trees and this camera angle right here. Notice how I've got I don't really have the saturation turned up too much, but I do have the, I guess, clarity turned up. It's sharpened. That's so that you can see all of the different, I guess, textures that are on the paper, right? And I want you to see that because they're as real as you can feel them, right? Now, when we switch to my other angle over here, this is more of a standard camera angle. So if we're here, you might actually see the picture a little bit more like that and think, oh, I like this better. So if you're looking at that, I'm trying to turn the camera saturation up on that higher first angle so that you can actually see, get a grasp of what the liquid and the paint and everything is doing on the paper. At the end, I have yet to decide. It really depends on how long the video is. I've got one in process. I want to show you how we drop these little guys in, maybe something like this, or add a little background like that to the little shop house, to the little barn, and you can kind of see where these things might fit. You know, you could have one that's real big and goes right off. You could have one right over here. And even on this one, the way that we do this, we will be able to see behind because you can see through a little bit. When you look through a forest, you know, you got one tree in front of you, sometimes you can see through it. We could go in there and add a little extra if we want. Like I said, I'm not quite sure if this one is done. That being said, it doesn't really matter what paints you're going to use today. It doesn't bother me which ones you want. Just use something that you like. For me, this paper is, I've used all different paper for the ones you've just seen, but today we will be looking at the Strathmore Series 400 paper. Now, I'm not a big fan of the Series 400 paper. I do like it for its size, but use whatever paper you want. Okay, so I'm getting the paper out. You've seen that. These things are going to go off to the side. Go sit over there, my friends. Now we got our paper. Okay. Yeah, let's talk paints. What do you want to use? It doesn't really matter. We could use the Cotman. I absolutely love the Cotman. The Mungyo. I do like the Mungyo. I could talk to you about the Mungyo. I've got a color chart right here. Let me grab it. I think the Mungyo does a fantastic job. Let's see. Here's one right here. Boom. Look at that. Check that out. Mungyo. I just swatched this one the other day preparing for this. Nice set of colors, but compare that to like the White Knights. You know? I think we get better colors with the White Knights. It really depends on what you want, but I like the browns. So if you're interested in the browns or these really intense blues like the ultramarine, you know, and the carmine, right? This is the way to go. A little bit more granular it looks, up to you. And then if you wanted to compare, you can kind of get a look, but this one's not exactly fair because this is the Mungyo on a big swatch card, and then this is the White Knights as compared to the Winsor and Newton. And you can see, and I think sometimes, maybe I just didn't give the Winsor and Newton a good job right here on the cerulean hue, but in any event, you can see that there's a lot more pigment than the Cotman, and I did swatch these twice in order to get them real thick. And I should put them on their own card like this. So the point that I'm making is your choices now are very important for your paint. Whatever paint you use, you're going to have a great time. What's more important is the paper. For me, I'm going to put the Mungyo up and put the Cotman up, I guess. Well, Cotman's got a lot of space to swatch, so I think I'll use the Cotman today because of all the swatchy spaces. But I absolutely love, oh man, I love the White Knights too. Well, it is what it is. We're going to use the Cotman. Okay. Now, all of that being said, I hope you guys are ready. I've got two things of water over here. Let me switch so that you can see. I wanted to show you, I got a couple things of water. And with the brushes that we're going to use today, realistically, we got 2 important brushes. I'm going to show you how to do this in 6 steps. Now, I'm going to show you these 6 steps here in a second. This will make a lot of sense. I got a practice card so we can show how you're going to go on one and then do the other. But I got 6 easy steps. If you follow these steps, you'll get trees just like we talked about. But that's starting off now. If you want to go ahead and do this in a different way after you see the process, go for it. But if you're starting off and your trees don't look at least as good as mine or better, then do it this way until they do. Once they start to look better than mine, then you have found a better way. Go for it and share it in the links down below. Let me know. I'd love to hear about it. We've got 2 types of brushes that I think are very important for these little trees. One is a fan brush. That's how we do the snow. And the other one in this instance is a number 4 or a number 6. We could also use a water brush if we wanted to. Yeah, that doesn't matter so much for me. So I'm going to put these guys back, and I'm going to go get the other brush that I'm using today, and it's right over here. Let me see. We're also going to need some titanium white gouache. If you don't have titanium white gouache, you can go ahead and use just some white watercolor. There are lots of people out there that don't like white and they don't use black. That's up to you, but I use what works. And for me, it's going to be these brushes today. So with that being said, yeah, we'll use the number 4 or number 6. I'll use the number 4 because it's like a smaller brush right there. Okay, let's go ahead and get everything ready to go. I'm going to spritz these guys down just so they can be ready. The whole palette's got a spritz, which is good. Coming over the top. Okey-doke. And I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I've got clean water in one and not so clean water in the other. I get the spritz over there if we need it. And where is I need my trusty cloth, right? I need to dab some stuff. There's a lot going on here. And so now you see just like I do. Okay, so this can go right here. And it will be happy. It'll go over here. We'll see all that. Okay, so the first thing is wash, right? Wash. We want a little wash. Now, why do we want to wash? Real simple. We need a wash because we want to go ahead and give a little background to what we're doing. So important. So I'm just going to come over here and I'm going to think about what I'm doing. In this instance, I'm going to grab that fan brush we talked about and I'm just going to do a little circular wash right here. Think oval. Okay, boom. Now, if you can see this, I have taken this, 5x8 card and divided it into 3s, right? And because of that, let's see, you can kind of see, because of that, this is going to be my area. Now, we're going to go pretty quick through this. Once we've got that up there, go ahead into your little number 4 brush or whatever you're using. I'm going to get some Purple Lake, right? We were pretty wet right there and just dab in the center and start from the center and work your way out. Okay. Now, as you do, call it even. That's it. That's all we do. Now this has to dry. It's going to take it a moment. So what do? Well, we're going to work in steps together. So while this one's drying, we're going to move on to step 2 and 3. We're going to keep adding. So as we come back to these parts, you can actually see. Now, I'm going to come over here on the back side of the paper. I want to show you something. I'm going to keep this in here with a little bit of water, right? I want to show you when I drop my spot in the center and this is dry right now. Before we did wet on wet. Now we're doing dry on wet. I'm doing wet on dry in order to show you so that you can see. When you start doing your little circles to go out for that gradient, we start at the middle and we don't skip spots, right? If you get a circle like that, then it won't necessarily give you the gradient that you want. We want it to be darker in the middle and get lighter as it goes out towards the edge. And if we had cleaned our brush off and we're working in a larger area, we would just go in with clean water and continue the spiral and it would pull it all out. So if your spiral looks like that, make sure you work it so it looks more like this. See how we're working from the center and I'm keeping that bubble of fluid so that I can go all the way around. Now, of course, I went back in just then. That's fine because when we're working wet on wet, as we do in just a second, you'll see how that will pull it all back in. So there's our practice card. Let's come back right over here. Once again, come in and get some water. It's on my brush right here. Make my oval. Okay. And come in and I'm going to get I get a different color. It doesn't, well, you know what? I'll stick with one color just because that's what we're doing. Once we put that there, see how it automatically spreads beautifully? Now we go in from the center, and again, I'm pushing the pigment out. If I want to push more of it out towards the edge, I just go back into the center. But we don't work from the edge to the center. We work from the center to the edge. Okay? Now, once more, okay? We're doing this so that as we do, we get practice each time. So we come back up here. Now, if you would prefer to do a gradient, a square gradient, that's okay too. Or, well, we'll do that in the next one. As we go through, we'll do circles on the top. We need to get some Purple Lake. Circles on the top, right? And we'll do squares on the bottom, just regular washes. Now this one's a little darker. I could have used a little bit more. Okay. Now we said we do squares down here. Let's do that. When we do the square, we want to have some live edges. So in this instance, I'm just going to riffle back and forth, but I'm going to make sure that I keep an edge that's white and unbroken around the area. So I'm creating a little frame of pooled water. Now, you might be able to see it here. Can we see it? See how it's kind of pooled? Good. Down at the bottom, it needs some, but that's okay. Now, from here, we come in. In this instance, I'm going to go in from the top down. So, from the top down, I go in flat. Notice I'm holding my brush much flatter, and now I'm just washing from left to right all the way down. Now, there's a lot of color in this. I can go into that color by getting my brush, dampening it off after cleaning it off, and I can just come over here and touch, and I can pull up some of that color if I want to. Now, why would I do that? Because I can come back in, if I wish, a little bit of water, and I can just go back from the top. The water will push it again and give me the opportunity to move it around. As long as it's wet and hasn't dried completely, it won't be crazy. But if we do something like this, we'll have pooled edges that look real weird. We don't want that, okay? Now, if you think you messed up, no problems. You can simply tap a little bit. And now we have a kind of a cloudy-ish looking landscape. I'm going to come and grab just a little touch down here, give that right there, and I'm coming down from the bottom to the top. Boom. Same thing. Okay. We grab our brush, come back over here. Remember, we're doing squares down here. I'm just giving you a square. And then I come in from the top to the bottom. I'm going to be careful not to get as much color this time. Good, much better in my amount of color. Now, I want to also share with you that I'm doing this completely flat so that you can see, but we could also turn this up if you're doing it, and it will allow everything to travel a little bit better. Okay, one more time. I know, right? You said, come on, Rob, let's hurry it up. We're doing it. We're getting there. Okay, now, this time I just painted that wash, just like that, just that water, it's right there. Okay. Now I come back in here, grab my Purple Lake, little drip, drip. Come in at the center, and I'm just going down. And there we go. And it's okay if you get it a little bit out of control. What you don't want to do is that. See how it picked up all that color? We want to fix it. If you need to fix it, go ahead and damp your brush, grab a little bit, and just dab. Now damp your brush off and pick it up. Got to let it sit for just a moment. But you can pick it up. Water, if your brush is wet, the water will push the pigment away. Okay. Now we're good. Okay, so far, so good. Let's have a look at what we've done. So far, we've got these 6 circles or 6 washes. We've got 1 through 6, squares and circles. This is where we want to be. So the first thing was the wash. Okay, good. Now, for this to continue, it needs to dry completely. So, in that instance, I'm going to be right back with you in just a few minutes. All right, we are back. Check it out. It's dried. I just went and dried it off real quick using a heat gun on low heat. And, you know, when you're not taped down your, it might move around. No problem. Number 1, right? Wash. Number 2, let's talk shapes. I'm going to draw this here. We're talking about a pretty little Christmas tree, right? So what shape is a Christmas tree? Triangle. That's right. You guys all drew them in school. There you go. Also a diode, right? But anyways, never mind. But there's another shape for Christmas trees too. kite. So think Douglas fir versus spruce, right? So we want to consider these two types of shapes, okay? Here's the important part. When we start building our Christmas tree, we want to build our Christmas tree from the top with a little stem and then down to the trunk on both of them, right? So they look kind of like this. And then when we're building our branches, which is going to be our next step, step 3, called dots, we're going to make sure that we don't go outside of this imaginary shape. Now, you guys can see this, but right now, let's go ahead and get some paint and draw that shape, okay? We're going to take some paint in this instance, draw that shape with a light blue or something, just a nice little light blue. I'll use an ultramarine here, and I'm going to water it down, right? And I got a little bit of neutral tint in it too. And what we're going to do is we want to make sure that it's not a very dark color, right? Do you see that? It's a very light color. So we're going to do two different shapes right here. I'm going to show you both shapes right here. And then you pick the one that you like the best and continue on using that one, okay? So for me, I'm going to use the diamond shape or the triangle. So just come here. We're going to do a very light triangle, right? See how that is? We don't want to be able to see it. Remember, this is practice right now. This is how we're learning this stuff, right? Same thing. Just a triangle. These are just basic shapes. Anybody can do this because it's not difficult. It's just a triangle. Okay? And later on, I'll show you how if you mess up your triangle, you can use the diamond shape or the kite shape to fix it. How you like that? Okay? So now that we've done all this, let me do it this last time. And you can have as fat or as skinny of a triangle as you want. It just depends on the base and your angle. Now, from that triangle, we're pretty good, but we've got to work some dots. This is where it gets important. Generally in watercolors, we work light to dark, and we could do that now, but I find it's helpful to go ahead and get a color that's relatively dark, right? And begin our dots. So, if you're with me so far, we've done our wash, we've done our shapes, now we're on our dots. We're going to work our dots right here. I'm using a triangle, but yours might be the kite. Let's talk about the dot shape in the first place. When we make our dots, we're taking our brush, let me switch so you can see the angle, and putting the brush straight down. Can you see this better? So the brush is almost straight up and down, not flat. Almost straight up and down. And these are itty bitty little dots. Do you notice that the tip of my brush is not doing that? That's not a dot anymore, is it? That's a leaf, that's a bush, that's foliage. I'm going to move over to the side. So I go little dots. And I have to start in a line straight down. So this is our dots, straight down. And then we've got dots at the bottom. You can imagine this is our tree top, this is our tree trunk. Now, if we were over here, let me go ahead and make that shape, right? If we were over here, we start our dots a little bit further forward of the tip of the triangle, and we extend them basically straight down through. We don't worry about the middle, but if you need a line straight through, you can. That gives us a trunk line. Okay, so these dots have a special way about them. And their special way is a kitty cat. Notice right now I'm kind of going outside of the line of my triangle. I'm doing that here to emphasize so that you can see the different ways that the dots are moving. You can already see right now how things are beginning to look like a Christmas tree. Okay. Let's talk about why I call it a kitty cat. We want to do the cat smile because doesn't this look like a kitty cat's nose? Right? or a Studio Ghibli smile or some kind of anime smile, right? But we're not going to take it straight across. We want to across and then kind of follow it down. But we also don't want them to be the same width. That's why we try to make sure that we extend the wingtips of the tree branches, the boughs of the tree branches, up to at least the edge of our triangle. Now, when we're doing with our mind's eye, we just see it. So let's go over here to the dots. Let's come over here. I'm going to get that nice blue color. Okay. And I'm going to do my dots. I'm going to start right here with the little dots. I'm going straight down. See how I did that? And now I'm going to come down here, following that trunk line. Boom, straight down like that. Now I'm going to bring my dots. I like to start and zigzag or kitty cat to the left, and then to the right, and then to the left, and then to the right. I'm just using the tree as a frame, the triangle as a framework. And as I get closer to the bottom, let me switch so you can see. As I get closer to the bottom, give you a different angle. I'm going to begin to allow my brush to go a little bit more flat. Do you see how it's going more flat? Okay, so we allow it to go more flat. I could use some more water too. We allow it to go more flat so that we can see, so that we can change the perspective of the type of shapes that we're creating. As we start, if we start with big shapes, we got to get even bigger as we go further down, right? Also, it will go from dark to light automatically for us, giving us a little gradient. We're going to use that later. So, if we come back over here, you should now see you've got a little tree that looks something like this. Let's continue. Remember, we're doing this on each one. I'm going to go back in here, go in a little light. So I start with my little dots, tiny dots straight down. There's too much on my brush right there, so I wipe it off immediately and pick that up. That's how we fix that. Then we go back into our color, and we just dot, 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 straight down. And if you want to go all the way straight down to the trunk, you can. And now what do? That's right, we kitty cat. So I like to start off to the left, and I keep my boughs within the area of the triangle. I don't go too far out, right? I can keep them around there. Look at this. Now, when we get to the bottom, we don't want to go completely out. We can, but we could also give it a little bit of a bowl base. And if we do, we're going to get a little bit more of that kite shape we talked about earlier, but we're not overemphasizing it, so it won't be too much. Okay, again, from the top, little dots, little trunk, and then zigzags, left to right. Now, that kitty cat mouth, you'll notice now, I'm not painting. These aren't strokes. These are dots that are going down. But as I zigzag, I get a more organic looking tree. Look at that. Okay? Not bad. Last time, you and I both. Let's do it together. Okay? Dots. It's dots all the way down. Bigger dots at the bottom, thicker dots, smaller dots at the top. Get your color again. Make sure you got that nice brush. And now, do the whole thing all over. One, kitty cat's left, zigzag, two. Oh, we got a big limb there, no worries. Now, I'm letting it really get wide down in the bottom and thick. Now, we can see we've got a lot of brush. We almost have a dry brush technique, no problem. Wash that brush off. What's next? Color. Now, we're going to add some additional color to this, but we're pretty much already there. What we want to think about is we've got a gradient in the background, and we want to make sure that we don't get rid of that gradient. So when I add color, I want to add something that's going to work with all of what I've already got, but also not get rid of all of that background. So in this case, I'm going to choose green. I'm actually going to choose, what is it, Viridian hue? Okay. So over here, this is a pretty emerald green. Okay, it's very pretty. I want you to see how we're going to load the new color in. This new color should be loaded in same way, except got to make sure it's not too much. And it's just going to follow on top of, but not completely occluding. It's just going to follow the highlights that we have, but you don't want to get rid of all of them. So it's going to go on top of the blue that we've already laid down, or your main color. So I'll do it right here. And we might be a little bit wet. We should be able to get away with it. This is kind of a glazing technique, but we are going to work a little bit drier. So this is what our brush looks like. And we're going to come right here. Boom. Good. Now don't get rid of all of those little purple highlights that we see coming through. Good. Now we're still doing that zigzag, right? Now if you want to change your color up, you can. Right? This is also an opportunity to lay your brush flatter and work down with those little strips if you'd like. This is going to create different angles and areas. And then when we get down to the bottom, you can kind of go right around there and mix it just a little bit if it's still wet. Go up to the top too and add a couple of little dabs. Now, over here to the end, this was the one where we did big fat ones, right? So as we do that, I'm going to do little tiny dots right here. And I'm going to follow that zigzag, but now I'm also doing the big ones, just like that. Boom. Now, why did I choose green? I'll show you in a second. Okay. Now we've got our color laid down, and we didn't get rid of those highlights. This has to dry. I'll be right back. Same thing. Don't go nowhere. All right, we are back once again. If you are enjoying this, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Okay, all dry. Once again, I used the heat gun. So we've gone through 4 steps. We've got 2 colors now with a background wash. And now it's time to add our zigzag. This is where our happy-go-lucky, one-of-a-kind fan brush comes in. Make it damp, right? And make sure that your bristles are all together. You're going to notice with the fan brush, especially if you've got one for watercolor, that it's going to separate into 9 or 12 different tines. Okay, I do have a smaller one like we saw. Even this one does it. When I'm working really tiny for backgrounds, I use this one. I love it. So that's a 10/0 Velvet Touch, and this is just a snap number 2. Okay, we're going to need some white gouache. Now, if you don't have white gouache, you can just as easily use white paint, but you may have to mix it a lot thicker and try it a couple extra times and be very careful. You don't want to lift any of this up. So what we're going to do, I need to show you this. Where's my pen? The next thing that we're going to do is make a zigzag or rose. When I say zigzag, it's just like with the kitty cat, right? Let's come back over here so you can see. It's just like with the kitty cat. The kitty cat could just as easily be a zigzag. Do you see that? Do you see how that's zigging and zagging? But it just stayed on one side. When we build our trees, we build them from top to bottom and then from inside to outside. So if we wanted to put this into a different discussion, we would build the tree from top to bottom and then inside to outside on our wash, which would mean we would start with our dots coming all the way down. We would visualize our shape, right? And then the first kitty cat would be over here, and then its little mouth would go over there, and then it would go over there. See how we're getting bigger? It's just like what you do with tinsel on a tree. And what is that? A zigzag. But you can make it just as easy with a little kitty cat like that. And when you do it that way, you get a different kind of pattern. You see how it kind of overlaps? Okay, that's what we're doing. This is important because if you zigzag all the way down, right, and you have little kitty cats, right, and it looks like, if your tree looks like this, you got a problem. You got one skinny tree. You might have something like, I don't know, what do they call the real skinny ones? You know, a feather, right? Could be more like a spruce is a little more triangular. So you have to make sure that you're extending that kitty cat smile out or that zigzag out. See how it's getting bigger even there? And now we've got the top of the tree. See how that works? This is what we have to do. Why is that important on this brush? Because this brush will not ever paint. It's not painting. It will only give us what we want when we dab. You got to dab. Okay, don't laugh at me. I know. So now I've got way too much paint on this brush, but I've got to have a place to kind of dab it. So let me show you. I'm going to dab. Now, if I dab too many times, it turns into a line. You see that? I don't want to do that. Instead, I want to make sure I've got the paint that I need on the brush. This time, I'm kind of loading it. It's actually loaded a little bit too much. See how it's all up the brush? Don't let it get any further than that. And then I'm going to first dab up. Let me show you from the side. I'm going to allow part of the brush, just about half of the brush, you know, it's curved, and I'm just going to walk it up past the tip. And once I get there, I'm going to use the different sides to push it up as we go down. And look what I'm making. I'm making that little zigzag pattern. Do you see that? One more time to show you, and then we're going to do it on the paper. So if you're practicing along with me, this is how we do it. I make sure that I've got just the right amount, and I'm going to come right here and I put it right there. You see how I went up? I can even go over. Okay, these are your highlights. Highlights, snow. This is your snow. It's not under the dark part. It's on top of the branch. So do your best to allow just the parts to land that need to land, and then start working it. Now, you can even see that here, those little zigzags, those little crisscrosses are working. Look at that. Now, let's move it over there so you can see in real time. Once again, I'm going to load up my brush, dab it off. It's coming over here so you can see over top. Dab it off, and I'm going to come, where are the zigzags? So, I come right up at the top. That's a little much. I can see it on the brush already, and I just allow it to hit the top. Do you see that? Now, this little brush needs to come kind of like that from the inside, just like that. See how we're kind of going over? Boom. Now I can turn. You're going to find out that there's a way for which your natural curve of the fan brush is going to go. And we just kind of follow it. Boom. And then we go down. We can give a couple down there. Look at that. Wow, right? Okay, now, this tree was done with all dabs all the way down, and this was done with a thicker, drier kind of brush. On this one, I'm going to show you another technique that we can add. You're going to love this. Instead of doing the little zigzags, this time, just watch, because I'm going to do it here so that you can see. I'm just going to start at the bottom. I hold my brush over the top. I hold it over the top. You'll see why in a second, because when I push down, it will automatically, let me come over here so you can see. When I push down, it will automatically give me a little smile. It will curve. Do you see? See how it curved? If you saw that curve, you're in. I got paint on my mouse. Okay, so from there, I'm going to come right over here. And now I'm going to start at the bottom. Boom. And I just make sure that I don't go outside there, and I'm rocking it forwards and backwards as I go up. Let me come to the side so you can see. Some of you may notice that I didn't give it a top sprig just yet. We're getting to it. This way I think looks a little bit more natural most of the time, and you might agree too. Now, by going from the bottom to the top, I can now see a little bit more about how my edges and things are coming together. And I can add the boughs right where they need to be. Now, wherever your snow is coming from and wherever your light is coming from, that's where we're going to add just a little extra contour on that side in order to pull it forwards. Okay. There you go. Now, we've got to sell it, right? How do we sell it? How do we make everything look right? Well, the reason we need the wash in the background is because we want some of those little pieces of snow, those little dots to pop up, and we don't want it to look like it's smeared and painted. But right now, I'm going to come and I'm just going to grab some water, and I'm going to grab one of my tones. I'm going to mix something dark. Doesn't matter. It's going to be very light. I'll even get a little bit of my black tint right here. Doesn't really matter. Green would be okay, but I'd rather it be more black than anything else. And we're gonna just see where we stand. We're gonna take the brush, turn it flat, put it down, and pull. This is a very dry brush. We need more water. So we come back up here. This will give me a chance to kind of work this just a little bit, a little more black. And it won't matter too much about what other colors are in there. I'm just getting something that looks black. I'm gonna test it again. Now we're perfect. Okay, this is the back side of that Strathmore 400. I don't know how much I like it. Okay, so we're good. What we're gonna do is start in the center, down by one of the little foots of the tree, and just drag left to right. Boom. Okay, that's it. Boom. Now, let me come back up here. If we have a little bit more water on the brush, we can come over here and you can make even like a little hill. We need a little bit more color than that one. Make like a little wash. Pick that sucker up right there. We can come back over to this other one. That's going to be way too light. And just put that little wash in for all of them. See? Now, once that's dry, we can even come back over here. You can do it right at the top if you wanted to add a gradient. Once that's dry, you can very easily come back and add a little bit of snow or a little tiny shadow right in the center of it. As long as it's still a little bit damp, it will pick it up. And if you want to, you can use some water and pull it out and continue to blend. Bingo. There you have it. Let's show it to you over here. Guys, now you see my pretty little trees in 6 easy steps just for you. And go ahead and use them. When you add a little bit more time to them and you don't rush it, it'll look a lot more like what we looked at earlier. So going back to the beginning, here's what we're talking about today. We looked at creating beautiful little scenes using evergreens, right? We talked about putting one in, spend some time on it, go ahead and make your tree trunk. All of these were made using the exact same techniques. It really just depends on how much time. And I think that's our time for today. I was gonna try to drop one in, but I'll finish this one later. Thank you guys so much for watching. And for those that stuck around, I'm gonna take you on a tour. You guys want to know how we do this, right? So this is all done in real time. Everything was recorded right over here on a Talent device, and all of the devices that we're using to capture they're all OBSBOT Talent. So we're using OBSBOT Talent to record. We've got an OBSBOT Talent, a Tiny 3 up here. We've got a Tail 2. We've got a Tail 2. We've got a Vox SE that works with the Tiny 3, and it's all controlled on this hub right here. I've got a couple of videos about this already, but if you've got something you want to show off and you don't know how to do it, something like this can work. And if you only can buy one thing, the very first thing should be the Tiny Titan 3 or the Tiny 3. You get an OBS style equivalent internal broadcast and recording studio for free whenever you purchase one of their devices. And then later, if you want to do stuff with some additional cameras, you can very easily use a Talent, which is their live stream video encoder. And it looks something like this when I don't have it all behind everything. And it just touchscreen lets you do all that stuff. So this is how I do it. All done live for you guys. I'm Rob. I want to thank you so much for watching. Remind you, I'll catch you on the flip side. Bye for now.